Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm Adan.
and this is our marvelous review of Hawkeye. Swip, 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 swip.
That's more like Spider-Man.
Spoilers. Such a great season, such a great show. I could be wrong, but I think this ties or falls right behind Loki in a sense of
Enjoyment?
huh?
Enjoyment? Or like overall enjoyment?
Story, action, pace. Loki was full of information.
Yeah.
And special effects, bringing in new characters. Here, they did the same thing. They brought in a lot of new characters that I enjoyed. You had Echo, you have the tracksuit gang, you have the return of Kingpin.
Fisk. Yeah.
You have, the swordsman.
Guess what, people? It's a Christmas themed show. So this actually makes it perfect for the holidays.
You can watch it anytime. It's set in Christmas, just like Iron Man 3 was set in the Christmas time. Besides Spider-Man No Way Home.
True.
Are there any other
Marvel ones set during Christmas?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, I am going to say no.
Yeah, I can't think of any either. Jumping ahead, I was hoping that Spider-Man would make an appearance, especially since the premiere of No Way Home was right before final episode of Hawkeye.
True.
I was kind of hoping to see a little tie-in because we do see Spider-Man swing by Rockefeller Center over the ice rink during winter. So it's a 6-episode series or season 1, just like
Loki.
WandaVision.
WandaVision was 9 episodes.
Oh, that's right. But Loki was 6, I believe, right?
Yep, and so was Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Let's all be fair, though. WandaVision could have been 6.
Oh, 100%. They could have put the first 2 episodes in one, another 2, I forget which ones they were, but they could have easily combined into one, and they were longer than they needed to be in some areas.
And I calculated all the action scenes. So you're looking at roughly for 6 episodes, you're looking at around 33 minutes of action.
That's
pretty
not
good.
bad.
No, you're looking about each episode is averaging 45 minutes. You got the credits, recapping from the previous episodes. So that's not bad at all. The story, I love that they went through the Hawkeye's experience. You went through a little bit of Yelena's experience. You have the telling of Kate Bishop, how she became about. And also with Maya, how she came out. And it was kind of cool in a way that like Maya and Kate Bishop kind of, I want to say grew up the same way, but they were inspired to one way or another train to get better. Kate Bishop was her influence was Hawkeye through the alien invasion and her perspective of the Avengers. And then you have Maya's, she had to survive, and to survive through her handicap, if you will, which not really for her was a handicap, it was more of a strength of her being deaf, that she had to look and be aware and read people, see things and quicker adapt to her situation.
Considering that she was also missing a limb. So
correct.
She used that, and you see it in the show, she used that to her advantage through the fighting techniques that they did.
And you have the return of Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin from Netflix Daredevil. And Daredevil made his appearance, Matt Murdock made his appearance around the same time in No Way Home. So you were saying you want to talk about Maya in the sense of her limbs, where she's missing a leg and she uses it to her advantage while she fights. But there's also another thing that I did not see in this incarnation of Maya in Hawkeye. You want to go through that?
Oh, yes. You're more familiar with her character from the comic than I am, because you're a bigger Daredevil fan. You got me into Daredevil, but growing up, you stayed being a more diehard Daredevil fan than I, so you were more familiar with her. I just recently became more familiar. Interesting thing about Maya was in the comic, she's called Echo. Well, one, they kind of changed her origin for the show, because she's originally started out to be a Daredevil opponent, for lack of a better term. She wasn't really a bad person. It's just that she was out for revenge because Daredevil was essentially framed for a death of a relative. In this case, it was switched and it's now Hawkeye. He wasn't really framed, but he was given the bait to do what he wanted to do as Ronin. And it turned out to be her her father, and that became her sole driving force. So they kind of switched it over, especially because in the comic, Daredevil was also a love interest to her at one point. That obviously is not the case. Clint's a happily married man. And the other part was she's arguably the counterpart to what Taskmaster is in the comics. She can see like movements, see attributes, and duplicate the skills of others that she sees. Probably not to the same extent that Taskmaster. He's enhanced, but damn well close. She is very, very skilled. She uses that skill as a way to counteract how now I can't even say it, how Daredevil can fight and keep on par with him because of that skill, which is actually, that's a feat in itself, because Daredevil, because of his talent and innate skills, make him one of the most dangerous hand-to-hand fighters you could probably come across. So it was interesting to see that you see her as a capable fighter, and you can see that they're showing her reacting and responding to certain techniques and certain things that are done, but she's not duplicating the very same skills. Like you would think, like the same moment that Hawkeye does a certain shot, she would do the same shot and counter it, or to catch him or something like that. That would have been a telltale sign, like, boom, she's that good. I think it's cool the way they did her and portrayed her, but definitely she was nerfed in comparison to what they do in the comics for her.
I was kind of hoping to see more of her in that aspect. They showed her she was a badass. There's no ways about it. She is a badass. She can hold her own. She can fight, very nimble, even though she's missing a leg. And the actress, I know she is deaf. Alakwa Cox. She's Native American, or she's Native American heritage.
And all due credit for Marvel, they're going to do a spin-off series based on Echo.
Oh, she is an amputee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She is a amputee with a lower legs. So what we see there is no special effect.
They actually
it is actually
that,
her.
And they incorporated that
awesome.
into her technique. I actually like that.
I like that a lot as well. I think that's awesome. They used that for what she had to make a better story for Maya, for Echo coming up. And I'm excited to see what Echo is going to be, because at the end of the series, we hear a gunshot fired at Wilson Fisk. Does it mean that he got shot? Or maybe he did. He got shot in the eyes.
I mean, eventually he heals in the comics, but that was a thing she did as a punishment to him. She blinded him. And that was the thing I was going to say, is like, they're going to spin off into the sequel series for Echo. So we may see what happens to Wilson Fisk, as well as, who knows, she may get some more powers, and that may she might actually get those Taskmaster-like abilities, which will be cool.
And hopefully we'll get Matt Murdock in.
And they turn that into a love story between the two.
Possibly, or that they have to battle. Cool,
I would be excited for either way.
Do you have a scene or an episode that you like?
Action or just in general?
In general. What was your favorite moment or favorite episode?
Funny enough, my favorite moment, because I remember chatting with one of my colleagues at work, and we were just laughing about it, was Kate Bishop in her apartment with Elena. And when they Elena first shows up and Kate Bishop throws the siracha, and she catches it, she's like, hi. And they're just going that back and forth. And the entire time, Elena is just saying, oh, I made some mac and cheese, Kate Bishop. You should have it. It's good for you. My father says so. And she just keeps repeating Kate Bishop until Kate Bishop goes, you keep saying my name. You want me to know you know about me? She's like, I do. And then she goes into it. It's like a subtle threat. But at the same time, just showing the chaos and that is Elena. We got that from Black Widow. She's not a bad person. But she's also she's there with a purpose, and she's driving that point home in a very humorous way. And I kind of enjoyed that scene, that take with everybody there. So I thought they had great chemistry. The car chase scene was fun.
That took about 6 minutes. That was a long scene.
But it was an entertaining car chase, because there is a lot of comedic moments in this show. But action-wise, I thought that was great and clever how they used the arrows, because you see Clint use arrows in a lot of different films. But here you really get to see the variety of arrows that he's actually using, more so than in any of the other films, I would say.
Right, and full of Easter eggs as well, because you have not just in the MCU Easter eggs, but you have Easter eggs also with just from another film, someone else, and they got influenced where they're in the car and the camera turns 360. You don't see the camera, but it's just inside the car spinning.
Oh,
all points of view.
Yeah, I know. That's the same scene, right? The same car chase scene.
Well, yeah, it's in the beginning.
There's several movies that use that, but there was one that started it.
You have the one in the Christmas trees being pulled. That's reminiscent to Home Alone. And then you have the arrow that grows the other arrow bigger at the end on the bridge.
Yep.
As a call to Ant-Man or Pym.
And he actually used that in the comics. Well, no, he used something similar to that, where he shrinks down a bunch of arrows, attaches it to one arrow, and then he launches the arrow and releases it so it expands. So now hundreds of bunch of arrows come down. It's a crazy thing he does in the comics. But it shows the ingenuity that he does. And you see that he has a lot of Stark tech and all these other stuff that he's pretty much swiped over the years from S.H.I.E.L.D. and Stark to hardwire his own weaponry. So, I mean, I know we're going to probably go over several scenes, so I just named 2. What about you?
It was a tie, honestly, for episode 4 and 5. The 2 episodes with the least amount of action.
So episode 4 had the end scene where it was fighting Yelena, and that was the reveal.
On the rooftop.
Right. Was that the scene you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. That's when everything comes together. He's talking about her, and he's talking about Black Widow. So there's that buildup. You see it happening, and then you get that reveal at the end, which was great. And there's only one action scene, and there's at the end on the rooftop. And then on action in episode 5, you see the story of Yelena. You see what happened with her during the blip.
Which also had a fair amount of action at the beginning, which wasn't bad.
It was about 45 seconds. And then you had the fight with Maya and Ronin in the car lot.
And it shows him actually taking out the
which was reminiscent of
Traction Mafia.
Which was actually reminiscent of Batman. For me, it is. Anyway, Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah. When he's sneaking in. And you see one guy get dragged underneath the car, the other guy he sneaks up from the shadows. Yeah, exactly. I get that.
And the action there with Maya defending, countering, and it was a great scene. And at the end of that episode, we get Kingpin. So that's why those 2 episodes kind of tie up for me.
Correct.
Not that much action, a lot of story, a lot of dialogue, a lot of build up to what we were hoping for, to what we were expecting. Also, episode 5 has that scene with Kate and Yelena. Has a lot of great scenes in there. That's why those 2 episodes are a tie-up for me. But my favorite character or characters is Tracksuit Mafia.
Really?
They were awesome. All different ones, like, yo, bro.
It's mostly the 2 guys, but yeah, you're right. They are absolutely like the side comic relief. When they're it's like, we're kind of like the Royal Tenenbaums. It's like, really? It's like, you don't see it? And they're making jokes about themselves. And the one guy
what cracks me, I'm sorry.
But the one guy about his girlfriend.
What I like is so funny is that they're a Russian crew and they're in the warehouse and the guy's going ballistic talking to his girlfriend, and the other guys on the sides, they say Spanish, like, "Cámate, bro, cámate." They're Russian and they're speaking Spanish to their homeboy.
And not to mention, they have that broken English, so it's not even that strong at English, and then they're going into that. And and he's like, what should I do? And they're giving him advice, and Kate decides to just chime in with the advice. And Hawkeye's like, don't do it. She gives the advice, and then it's like a running joke, because then all of a sudden, come episode 6, this guy is literally trying to kill Kate, and he goes, by the way, it's like, I just want to thank you. And she's like, for what? It's like, that advice you gave me about my girlfriend, it worked. And we did this. And she's like, cool. And she's like, were you just trying to kill me? He's like, well,
That was a cool crew. More so than everyone else in the sense of as the eclectic group. Like the LARPers, they were okay. I mean, I understand why they were there. But granted, I did like when Clint went to get his suit back and he has to go into the LARP scene and fight all those guys. And he's almost yawning. But then he gets into it a little bit.
And the guy's like, let me kill you. I'll give you all your stuff back. Just let's have this out. And he's like, just kill me now. And he goes, no, it has to be a duel. He's like, make it look believable.
This series is based off the Matt Fraction storyline. On Black Friday. I bought the digital series.
Did you read
Friday,
it?
which was, no, not yet.
Oh, that's okay.
I bought the Kate Bishop series and 3 volumes of the Hawkeye line. So I have plenty to read because I would like to see
the differences and parallels.
So I'm excited for that. And kind of disappointed overall, the MCU Hawkeye, in essence of, in the original comics, Hawkeye was a huge fan of Captain America. In the MCU, the super geek was
Phil Coulson.
originally in the comics, it was Hawkeye. And he was in the circus.
Well, in the comics, he was in a circus, but it was a circus full of criminals. They used their criminal acts as the circus as a cover. In the comics, that's actually
wasn't the swordsman?
The swordsman helped train him, and they both worked together as criminals. And eventually, Hawkeye became a good guy first, but eventually, swordsman became a good guy too. Died, got resurrected as some kind of plant alien. That's comics for you. But basically, for the longest time, he was a villain opposed to Hawkeye. Funny enough, we didn't really see him act as a villain. He was shady a lot of times.
They planted him as a villain.
And that's why I say it was shady, but it's just like he was used. He was a cover for the mother. He loved swords too.
Oh, one of my pet peeves, and I saw this in the swords. Before we see him, we see a sword, the dinner table, a samurai sword, unsheathed and the blade pointing up. That's a big no-no. And for a guy who is into swords, that should have never been. You don't have a sword in the home unsheathed.
True.
It tarnishes the metal because the air is hitting it so easily. You don't have the blade exposed. That was one of my biggest pet peeves.
I watched somewhere where they were trying to read like that could be like a subliminal thing where they're talking about, because if you look at the placement of how they're sitting and how the camera angle shows, I think the blade actually like is, yes, it is barren and open, but more paint, like the way that they were sitting, they will go to camera angles. Like the blade was more facing towards Clint, if I remember correctly. It was like foreshadowing or something like that.
Well, I know the sword was splitting the
table in half, relatively.
Well, right, the four, right. You have Kate and Clint, and you have the mother and swordsman. I'm talking about like in the first episode.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you.
I mean, I try to look up what's the meaning of it, but I don't know. I couldn't really find out there's a meaning because usually that never happens. The samurai sword, the katana, is never exposed in that fashion. You've seen other swords, like fencing swords, where the blade is exposed.
Yeah, but usually when they're displayed,
they're in a case,
or they're displayed in a way where it's not direct light, and it's not like it may be like draped in a way where even if there is dust, it doesn't go directly onto it. It's angled a certain way.
Everything else was seemed fine. Everything. I mean, I'm not that familiar with archery, so I can't really downplay it, even though I did follow. Well, I didn't follow. I just watched the video. It talks about how to shoot, and he was looking at different movies that with archery, like Avengers with Hawkeye in it, and you also have the Hunger Games and things of that nature. And one of the things he did say that when you shoot an arrow, you don't really like let go of the strings. You kind of pull back and let the string leave your hand. So I saw that, and I saw Kate doing that. I was like, okay, she's doing it. And of course, he downplays Clint Barton's shooting, but I liked it. I liked the way he was shooting without looking and stuff like that. He became very technical while he was looking at the videos. I was like, okay, dude, that's enough. I understand where you're coming from, but it looks good on camera.
It does.
If he was selling it.
I think they had a lot of good bonding moments as far as characters between them. So like
good chemistry, yeah.
Good chemistry. Like they were dressing up the Christmas tree. He's teaching her how to turn off the TV with the battle cap. Kind of clever because it shows that Hawkeye, it's not about just the bow and arrows. He's actually about accuracy in general. He just chooses the bow and arrow.
That goes in line with his ultimate run. He doesn't have just bow and arrows. He has crossbows. I think he has guns. He has other weaponry too, that he's a marksman. So he's almost like Bullseye in that fashion, that anything that goes in his hand becomes a weapon.
And that's something I always enjoyed about Hawkeye that everybody forgets about, that he is a marksman. Doesn't matter what he has. His weapon of choice is the bow and arrow. I'm going to mention two other things. Oddly enough, we're talking a lot about episode like 5 and 6, but the scene where he does, since we're talking about arrows, they're on the ice hockey rink, and he shoots the arrow and shoots 2 arrows, hits the 2 mafia guys. The reason he does the 2 arrows for everybody is that he splits one of the arrows, so it will aim for 3 people rather than 2.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end.
I like the shot. That guy who caught the arrow in the middle,
Kazi.
That was the one thing I did not like. Catching an arrow is not easy. And he caught it to his face.
And at night.
And he's like working a sniper rifle, and he's working for Kingpin, and he's been training with Echo, supposedly training with Echo all this time.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be him as a kid.
So I'm like, okay, as soon as I see him catch that arrow, I thought he might be a threat. Then he fights Clint, and he kind of holds his own, but the fight is not as good.
Well, the fight was before that arrow catch.
Well, yeah, but I'm just adding it all together.
I mean, it could be
Gets with
we could
Echo, and Echo beats him anyways.
I mean, it could be. You can chalk it up to adrenaline.
True.
It is what it is. I totally understand what you're saying. You would think that they would have built on that.
At the same time, I don't know if he's a relevant character in the comics.
Like I said, I gotta read the storyline because of that.
Is he in the
Mafia.
comic or is he not?
Right. I like his story arc because he has resentment
Towards her.
Maya. Right. He was supposed to be the one next.
The favorite, supposed to be. Kingpin just favored her over him, and he was basically just used as a tool to watch her, which leads into
well, the thing is, don't forget he got Ronan to kill
her father. Yeah.
So how do you do that? By giving her power to throw off the scent.
Exactly.
He bumped her up in front, Kingpin that is, and put Kazi to the side, which again, Kazi knew he was next, but he has resentment. He's power hungry. Granted, they didn't go into much detail, but watching it again, you can see it happening. You can see his resentment
rise more and more.
Yeah. I do have one scene that I hate.
Ooh, what was that?
The end credit.
Okay, so I have a theory about that. The end credit scene, for those who haven't seen it, of course, the end credit scene is literally them playing the Rogers, the musical.
That we see in the beginning of the episode.
Well, when we see it in the beginning episode, we don't hear any of the audio for the most part because Clint is taking out his hearing aid.
We hear it. We hear it pretty much. The thing is, we don't see the full production.
Yeah, and he takes out his hearing aid at one point too.
Right. No, but everyone else hears it. He doesn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But we do as a viewer.
And you get to see the full production, which is like what, 9 minutes?
Forever. In my opinion.
For the most part, it's just recapping the New York Avengers scene, and they're like.
So tell me this real quick: who's the black doctor or black scientist?
Those are
who is the guy in the suit?
Those are just supposed to be New York citizens.
The two guys singing in the beginning.
Yeah, and then they have like other New York citizens that pop up, and then eventually you see Loki and the Chitauri, and Loki's a black guy too.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. He was a black guy. And then they start bringing in the Avengers, and everybody is like gets this high praise. Even Black Widow gets a high praise, and then Hawkeye. They're like, and here comes Hawkeye. He shoots arrows, and he wishes he could be anywhere else but here.
That's true, though.
Yeah,
he does say that a couple of times.
But
they
don't
the movies.
They don't say that. They don't give anything negative about Black Widow. So and then they give like one more negative line about Hawkeye in it, and they even bring in Ant-Man, who wasn't even there. So for me, I thought it was Marvel poking fun at us, making fun of Hawkeye, because everybody for years was making fun of Hawkeye. Like there's the SNL skit where they were making fun of the very same scene, and he was there. And he goes, he's like, I'm all out of arrows. I'm done for the day. That was my takeaway. It's just Marvel taking a joke at us.
It probably was. It was probably like a boner thing from WandaVision.
Although for me, that was better than boner. Because I was furious with boner.
Who wasn't? Fun fact though, the guy in the suit singing, Adam Pasquale, and he's a Broadway legend. I met him.
Oh.
When I used to live in New York, and I used to date someone that was an understudy in Rent. I don't want to say her name, but she was an understudy. We're good friends now, something like that. But anyway, that's where I met the original cast, because it was him, Tay Diggs, who's the one, his former wife, Dina, and Vega. I met at like certain fundraising events and things of that nature.
I mean, that makes sense why they would use him for the musical then. Like,
well,
he has
the
chops. But
I'm just saying, just putting my little
little flex.
So I'm like, so I'm part of that.
Not really name dropping, but just saying,
But bro, in a way, I'm part of the MCU.
Through 60 degrees of separation. Got you.
Yes, exactly. Why not? That's the only thing. Is the worst part for me was that I rather have. I mean, I get what you're saying. But for me, I would like to have seen an 8-minute gag reel, or maybe show another Echo scene to lead up to the series.
Well, didn't you say they just released like a bloopers thing also?
Well, they did a bloopers thing separate for Hawkeye. Yes, 2 minutes. But I'm saying at the end credits, it would probably been nice either do a gag reel at the end or show Maya becoming Echo. Like they touched it in the comic in one of the episodes where they show her like get the painted handprint or the blood print on her face.
For those who don't know,
in the comics, she puts a handprint on her face as part of her makeup, her mask. Maybe they could have done that. I don't know. I think anything would have been better than the musical. Let's do our ratings real quick. How about this? Let's rank so far the MC shows. What we think is the best to least.
Well, before we do the rank, I give credit to for Wilson's Fisk portrayal, because I know that some people would say like Wilson Fisk came from Netflix, and a lot of people would be concerned, will they water him down because it's Disney Plus? And
I don't think so.
And that's the great thing. They didn't need to water him down, because Wilson Fisk, for the most part, doesn't need to be the most violent guy, and he's intimidating in presentation. And like when they first introduce him and you see him in conversation, that was carried very well. Granted, it's the same actor, he knows his character very well, but like the moment where he's like, just because it's the holidays, I'm going to give you a moment to reconsider what you're about to say. That's my poor Wilson Fisk, by the way.
It's like, pretty good.
It still felt like, bro, he just threatened her before anything else.
My only thing was with him on this portrayal, like, I don't remember.
He was like on steroids too. I'm gonna just call it, because
no,
he ripped
in
off
the comics,
the car door.
Yeah, in the comics though, he could do that.
He didn't do that. He kind of did that in Netflix, but
no, he has strength in Netflix. He had raw power. It was like his anger was his strength.
Yeah, and you can have that. There's guys that are just naturally strong. They're big dudes.
Right. I don't remember him having a cane in the Netflix series. Or even at the end, I don't remember.
Well, at the end of the last season of Netflix, he did have that big fight with Bullseye and Daredevil. I would have to rewatch it again to see if maybe he got injured at any point. The cane doesn't necessarily mean he needs it for because he's injured. That's also a display of style and power for a lot of people. No,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but he had it a lot, almost as if somewhat.
In the comics, he has it a lot more. So they may decide, because now it's an MCU thing, they were like, let's give him back the cane. Although it was cute that he had the Hawaiian shirt. Never seen Kingpin with a Hawaiian shirt.
Well, that's what I was about to mention, because I was like, why the hell is he wearing a Hawaiian shirt?
It's the holidays.
Because he's always dressed to the nine in the Netflix series. Dressed to the nine. In the Daredevil film, Michael Duncan Clark, who played him, was dressed to the nine, sharp as hell.
Yeah.
Here he has a Hawaiian shirt. And then I come to find out that Vincent, he wanted that outfit, that same exact outfit he saw in the Spider-Man comic book.
So that was in the comics?
Family Business. Yes. There's a comic book cover where Kingpin is about to strike with the cane, wearing a white suit and red and white Hawaiian shirt.
Well, there's your answer. He read the comics and he's like, there we go. I want that look.
Well, yeah. At first, before that, I didn't know about that comic book cover.
That's
so
fantastic.
I was like, ugh. But at the same token, Wilson Fisk, comic book and Netflix, even though he may have been big, he had not been maybe attractive, but he was very vain. His suits will always fit tailor-made.
Yeah, and he always had cufflinks. He did have cufflinks, though.
But you're missing the point what I'm trying to say. The suit that he wore in this series looked like they were off the rack.
It didn't like cut to fit and
it looked baggy, it looked big. That was a little bit off in my opinion. And then they're meeting at some kind of rink-a-dink office, which looks like it was just put together just to shoot a scene where
I thought it was like the back of a restaurant or something like that.
Well, no, she goes into like a hotel. Remember when Lena's following her? She goes into like the plaza or something. Maybe she went through there to escape, to lose people who may be following her. Maybe that could have happened. But
I can
again,
see what you're getting at. Yeah. Let's talk about that ranking. You want to go first?
Loki's at the top right now. Followed by that, Hawkeye. Followed by that, Falcon and Winter Soldier. And below that is WandaVision. Anything more? Is there 4 so far?
Oh, there was also What If you want to count that. It's up to you. I just threw a curveball, people. He's like, I didn't count What If.
Okay, well, no, Loki, Hawkeye, What If, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision.
Damn, you went exactly the way I was thinking.
Hey, two great minds think alike. What can I say? And plus, we're brothers.
That great minds think alike is actually the wrong saying. There's actually a proper way to say it. Small minds are alike. Hey. That's what I said. Oh, I'll wait until after camera. I just looked it up today. I was like the 7 quotes that people get wrong all the time.
Oh, that's one of them. Okay.
But yeah, I just thought it was hilarious. But no, in this case, that is appropriate. Great minds do think alike, because I 100% thinking as soon as you were like, okay, let's include What If, and this is the ratings, I completely agree with that. Loki is my personal favorite because There's so much they're giving you, deep cuts. They expanded the universe, and it just tied in so many different ways, and it gave me so many pleasant surprises. Hawkeye, I did get things that I was anticipating. I knew from Black Widow we're probably gonna see Elena, and I knew from No Way Home there was an Echo probably gonna get Wilson Fisk, but seeing them actually there seals the deal, and that makes it exciting, and it's a fun series, which was an underdog series because a lot of people were like, can we really be that excited for Hawkeye? He's not as big name, but their chemistry just seals it. I love short stories. I was a fan of What If growing up, and it holds true to it, and there was some great moments and some great singular episodes. There were some episodes that were gappy, but it was a solid series for me, and I will be happy to watch season 2, which they are coming out with. Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Captain America and Winter Soldier now, that was great when it came out, had great action. There were some slow moments where they were trying to build up, but I loved the undertone storyline that they were doing with the red, white, and black, was it? Or yeah.
Red, white, and truth. Something like that.
Yeah, Red, White, and Truth. I think you're right. WandaVision was, the concept was there. I liked the concept that they were doing, and there were certain aspects I did enjoy, but it fell short on the execution on certain things. I still love the show for many different reasons, but in comparison to the rest, it's got to be the bomb for me.
I'm sorry. The storyline is truth, red, white, and black. That's the comic book line.
I was 90% right.
Now, is this ready for purchase? One and done, multi-fun?
I would consider it maybe a clearance item for DVD because I have a Disney Plus membership. So I wouldn't mind it being in my DVD or Blu-ray collection, to be precise. But until then, multi-fun all the way.
For me, it'd be multi-fun.
Yeah.
I think all the series will be multi-fun unless they're able to make it into, say, make it a 2 to 3 hour film. Same thing with Loki. If they're able to re-edit, I would definitely purchase it.
I can see them doing like maybe a 3 hour, even a 4 hour film. Like you cut out the credits, you cut out some of the, the titles. That's already like 10, 15 minutes an episode.
Well, for some, yeah. Love the fact that they brought Mockingbird in the MCU.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that was Mockingbird, for sure, his wife.
It's not her name, her
number. Yeah.
That is her number.
So my friend was like, I don't get the reference of the number. I'm like, I believe that's Mockingbird's number on the watch.
It is. Well, you have a Mockingbird in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which people can argue is MCU or not. They say it is MCU because I did tie it with some of the movies that came out. But she could have retired, and then that one that we saw in the series was another Mockingbird. And I did like that dynamic that we saw more of her backstory through her conversation with Clint.
That she has the knowledge.
Well, she knew what he was talking about. And then she knew some protocols. She knew some tactics. She knew that one tactic was developed by Natasha. And so it was like, oh, okay. And then she spoke German, not let the kids know exactly what they're talking about. Gave better backstories on the Barton family as a whole.
I hope they do a season 2.
Well, they should, I think, with the new Hawkeye, because she is the new Hawkeye. And they're doing stuff. In the Falcon and Winter Soldier, we saw the Patriot, or not the Patriot. What's his name?
U.S. agent.
The kid.
Isn't he Patriot?
Bradley. He's the Patriot? Is the Patriot? I think so. Maybe it's the Patriot.
Yeah. So they might do like the Young Avengers.
But you also have Wanda's kids. They're also in the Young Avengers.
Correct.
And then you have from the Skrull invasion coming up.
Hawkling and also Ms. Marvel.
Hopefully, though, because I would love to see their storyline.
I think we're going to get Riri Williams, too.
Oh, yes, they're doing Ironheart. I mean, I'm always excited to see what they're going to do. I always say that because it's true, because they just find a way to make it better and better. Granted, Shang-Chi, and Widow, so much.
I mean, they can't hit them all out the park.
I know.
There's some really good moments and some really good things about those, but I mean, their project-wise, they're pushing 30.
What? Iron Man came out in 2008.
Talk about quantity of projects, quantity of movies and shows that they've produced.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the ratio of things, that's still a good number.
No, they're doing great. It's just you are gonna have some flops. You know what movie we have not talked about in the sense of after our first review is Eternals. We keep skipping those. Rightly so.
Oh, I thought we reviewed on that one.
No, we did do a review on it. But I'm saying we just talked about Shang-Chi. We talked about Black Widow. We brought that up.
There was nothing relevant about it to this.
No, what I'm saying is it's part of the Phase 4.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's nothing really to talk about.
I mean, it has some
You know what I'm saying?
great
It's
concepts,
like it's easy
but
to, like I can remember Shang-Chi more than I can remember Eternals. I can remember Black Widow more than I can remember Eternals.
see, I remember a lot about Eternals, but that's just because like I lock in those details. Like when we were talking about Star Fox and Thanos and whatnot, he's like, he didn't mention that. I'm like, yeah, he did. And then Pip the Troll, which I know you did not like that scene.
No, but what I'm talking about instead of when we refer back to recent MCU movies
For comparison.
I keep forgetting Eternals. I have to force myself to remember.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. We're skipping. We end up skipping it.
And it's coming on Disney Plus relatively soon. I'm not going to watch it.
I was talking to our cousin's son on Christmas, and he's like, he's looking forward to watching it. I'm like, are you really though? I mean, if you want to know more knowledge about the cosmic universe of Marvel, it's going to give you that, but it's not as entertaining as Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but don't forget, how old is he now?
He's 8.
Right. So he may still like it because
he's a smart kid.
I understand he's a smart kid, but he's not as he's still a kid.
It is
You
true.
know what I'm saying? So he'll still get amazed by the powers and the flight. You won't get the intelligent factor of it
But
much later.
There's a lot of dry moments.
Yeah, but it's still Marvel, so he'll still be like, "Oh wow."
Yeah, the wildness is gonna
if
win
he
him
saw
over.
if he saw No Way Home first and then saw that, he'd be like, "Oh, this sucks." After No Way Home, Sony is never gonna sell Spider-Man.
Oh no, they got that locked in
Ever
contract.
sell? They're gonna have him on lease.
Well, we're on a tangent now, but Spider-Man has always been a huge breadwinner. They've made money and bank off of the original Spider-Man at 1, 2, and 3, and even the Amazing Spider-Man, even the one that was considered a flop. They still banked off of that.
No, of course, but what I'm saying is, after this last one,
I need to double check what their numbers were because I heard it was like records.
which this last one?
Yeah.
They already made $1 billion before 2 weeks.
Considering the environment that we're in, that goes to show that like theaters, if they put the money back into the movies and put it back and trust it in the theaters can still make money.
Yeah, but not necessarily so.
Well, I'm saying
Because-
potential is there. You gotta have faith in it.
Right? No, well, because you had Shang-Chi, you had Eternals out in the theater. They didn't make that much money that soon, that fast. Granted, they're not well-known characters.
True.
But if the story was tight, it would have made that much or even more so than it did. Anyway, that's it for us on this, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another Marvelous review. If you have any comments, please put it down below. What was your favorite scene? What was your favorite moment? What was your favorite episode? But don't forget to also subscribe and hit that like button before you do so. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you.